Okay, here we are. We're 31 videos in, and we are finally going to start building the stuff we need to use to compete with robots. We could do a dance competition from the last one, and we could probably do a blind what do we call it? A dead man's bluff or something where we have to dead reckon a robot through a maze. But now we're going to actually take our very first step at making an aggressive or defensive robot by having it use a sensor to actually guide its behavior. To do that, it's actually really simple. In fact, all we're really going to do is we're going to move something. But we have these two photoresistors, and what we want to do is we want to have them mounted down below so that we can see the ground, because ultimately we're going to be playing in arenas that are either white with black borders, or preferably actually, well, actually that's the preference, or you could have black or with white borders. You can also have shades of gray if you're going to play, for example, bot ball or some type of soccer. So what we need to do is we need to be able to have our sensors looking down. Okay? Well, typically when we're working down below the robot, we have to worry about the robot's shadows. So the other thing we're going to need to do is we're going to have to supply light down below the robot. We're going to have to illuminate the path so that we can actually then measure reflected light and see whether or not the robot has found, for example, a black line. So to do that, what we're going to have to do is build something like this. And this is nothing more than, looking at it from this angle, it's the photoresistor and ultra bright white LED that I've kind of glued together with hot glue. Okay? And ultimately we can take and put this onto the robot, replacing these, and bend the wire in such a way that we can get the sensor below the robot so it can be aiming down. Okay? So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm going to gather up all the stuff and I'm going to show you how to build one. So I will see you guys in a second. Okay, so I got the stuff lined up here. Actually, I've got enough stuff here to make, well, I'm going to pull out a little bit of this because I'm not going to make two of them right now. I'm going to make one at a time. So that means we need to have one LED, okay, one photoresistor, which I pulled off the robot, and one 1K resistor, okay, which is going to be a brown, black, red. So what's going to happen is we're going to use the resistor to restrict the flow of electrons, and they're going to go into the LED, okay, and then we're going to tie these together to bring the current back so we complete the circuit. And we're going to plug all three wires, and we'll show you here when you actually do it. All three wires go into the board, and we can then light the LED and get the values from the photoresistor. So to start with, what you do is your LED. Okay, I've talked about these I think before. The longer wire is the anode or positive side. It's the side that's going to ultimately hook up to your battery or whatever it is. It's going to supply the current. The shorter side, which by the way has a really small flat on this piece of plastic, which you guys probably can't see, has a really small flat side. That's going to be the negative. So what I want to do is I want to restrict the flow of electrons going into the LED. So I'm going to just take and twist these wires together like that. Okay? And we're going to hold this all together. Now, if you have a soldering iron, all right, this would be your ideal opportunity to use it. There should be some solder on here. But a good twist covered with the hot glue will actually work quite well. So you don't absolutely have to. Just make sure you've got a nice, solid twist. All right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to take either end of this, it doesn't matter, and we're going to twist it around the negative side of the LED, like so. Okay. And try to get it kind of level. We may bring it down. You can adjust that when we put the glue on. Okay. So now it's time to hook up the wires, because that's actually all there is to this circuit. We just now need to have a wire on it, or wires. So I'm going to strip off some wire. Off the red, the black, and the white or the yellow. Okay. Pretty good strip off that, okay? I've got at least a ½ inch. Now what'd we say? Alright, we want to get the electrons to flow through the resistor to the LED. I want that to hook up to the positive side, so by convention you should use a red wire. This red wire is going to go like here. And we're going to twist it around here a few times. Not to worry if it falls apart, just twist it back together. Because again, once we get the hot glue on, it's going to be pretty tight. Alright, so I've got that hooked up. Now, I'm going to spin that around a little bit. There we go. This side here, one of the wires from the LED, I'm sorry, the photoresistor goes to ground. And of course, the LED has to go to ground to complete the circuit. Okay? So let's put a black wire here. And again, boy, if you have a soldering iron, you could eliminate this whole slipping problem. Okay? And last but not least, we'll use the white wire or the yellow wire as our signal wire. Okay, and I'm going to take these clippers and I'm going to cut off the excess so we minimize our chances of shorting things out. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to kind of line things up, because I really don't want this thing to be huge, but I definitely do not want anything to be touching, like so. I got another loose end here. Okay, now I'm ready to hold this all together with hot glue, making sure that none of these wires touch underneath the hot glue. So let me get my hot glue gun warmed up, and I'll see you guys in a second. Actually, my glue gun is still warming up, but I want to zoom in on this so you can really see. Okay, get a good look at it. Whoops. Alright, so you see the red wire, it's twisted, goes to the 1K, the brown, black, red LED, goes up to the longer wire, okay, of the LED. The shorter wire with the small flat on this side of the LED comes down, ties into the black wire, which will be our ground. One of two of these, doesn't matter which one, of the wires coming off the photoresistor ties into that ground, and then the white wire or the yellow wire, some other color besides black and red, ties into the other one. Okay, and as soon as my gun gets hot, my glue gun gets hot, I'm going to glue this up and insulate it so it stays nice and tight. So I will see you guys in a second again. Okay, I think my glue gun is hot enough to get started here. So you can see I've got all my wires laid out. I've kind of straightened it up a little bit. No wires are touching across. Okay, so I'm going to start putting a little bit. Now, don't get carried away with this stuff, okay? You just want, because you also don't want to make a huge mess. And you might want to do this a couple of layers. In fact, I'm planning on it. So I'm going to start with that. And then I'm going to let that cool down a little bit. And then I'm going to put some more on. So I'm going to pause so you don't have to wait for the glue to dry. Well, I've had a boring 3 minutes or something waiting for the glue to dry. But I'm going to add some more because I really want to build this up. Don't be impatient with this. Take your time to, you might take 3 or 4 passes. But you really want a nice, strong, insulated piece that you can deal with. In this case, I think I can rotate and put some on the back side. Alright. Kind of rotate a little bit, make sure it's turning out okay, looking good. I'll pause and I'll be back in a second. Okay, it's been another 3 minutes, and you can see it's already turning opaque, so it's nearly dry. This will be the last time. I'm going to fill in this void here. Cover this wire here. Because again, I don't want, if I'm in battle, I don't want anything shorting out on my circuits, right? You don't want somebody's steel feeler to bump into your robot and cause it to short out. That would be bad. So you want to make sure everything's nice and covered. And slowly rotating it a little bit back and forth while it dries keeps the blobs from dripping. It only takes a few seconds, and then it just stops trying. Okay, it won't start dripping anymore. Alright, let's pause it, and the next time we'll be done with it. No more glue goes on though. Okay, it's all done. It's all dry. Didn't take too long. Looks kind of ugly, but that's okay. And if you want to, you can make it look a little prettier by just wrapping it with some electrical tape or something. Kind of give it that uniform look, or slide it, or even wrap most of the entire thing. I'm going to trim off this little bit of red so they're about the same size. And then, of course, I'm going to strip these wires so that we're ready to insert them into the board. You guys will be building 2 of them. I'm only going to build 1 right now because you guys don't want to watch me build another. And I have 2 sensors, okay, ready to bend into shape. And we can start doing a line following and a blind, or a sumo actually. We can do all kinds of stuff with this. So let me get this started, and I will see you guys really shortly.